I'm Laura Vinroot Poole, and this is What We Wore.
Emilie Rubinfeld is the president of Carolina Herrera, who's confidently leading the house into a new chapter after the departure of Carolina in 2018. Emilie offers a window into the vast opportunities in the business of fashion and shares how she's pivoted and communicated openly in challenging times, and that there's no playbook for running a global fashion house.
I've really perfected the Zoom fashion look. I mean, anyone who's ever had a Zoom with me since 2020, and I have perfected the Zoom look.
Okay, and what is the perfect Zoom look? It's earrings for sure.
It's accessories, but it's like looking fabulous from the waist up.
What do you have, jeans on underneath, sweatpants?
But in my case, because I have to represent Herrera head to toe, yeah.
Were you remote during the pandemic?
So it's so funny because not funny, of course, but it was just hard to even fathom that one day in March, it was like we were all in the office and then it was like a ghost town here. We weren't back until June. And actually we came back, I would say, a bit earlier than most because we operate the atelier.
Yeah.
So as soon as, we were able, we came back, but of course, we were, on Zoom and of course, having that remote work experience. So I really always tried to still represent Herrera, even in these Zoom environments.
Well, and this was actually going to be my first question. You live in Connecticut, I think.
I do, yeah.
And so that must have been really interesting to dress in full Herrera from Connecticut.
And it still is to this day. So I'm often the one on the train commuting, wearing something fabulous and standing out in my head to toe Herrera looks. But the Zoom look really how do we craft an impactful image from the waist up? So, we have great fashion jewelry. Yeah. I think about what's the shoulders, and this is from the spring collection, as you know.
Have you ever talked to Wes about it?
About this? Oh, he knows.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he knows. We talk about it all the time.
Because there's a new thing around the industry that people talk about. It's called tabletops.
Yeah, tabletop. Yep. It's really very good point. It's the same idea.
That's so awesome.
I would look like this at a dinner party or, across from a seat guest at a dinner or a restaurant.
And the shoulders are so good.
The whole collection Carolina originally was the woman of the shoulders. So if you look at, some Carolina Herrera iconic imagery, photography, there's always a bold shoulder.
Yeah.
And Wes has done, as you know, such an incredible job of interpreting Carolina's style for today. So the shoulder is a great example of that.
Those are really small details. Is that something that you said out loud or is something that you discussed?
We talk about it. We talk about those details that make, something Herrera or not, or make it more Wes era of Herrera, which he's coined. So we talk about it because I think at this stage, Carolina left the company in 2018. So, Mrs. Herrera is here in the house in terms of essence, but, this is now a collection that has Wes's stamp on it for sure. And it's great to talk about it now with you, because you've been with us since Wes's start here at Herrera, and it's our 45th anniversary.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. And also, it's so funny, Emilie, the Met Gala was this week, and there was several great posts about her specifically going to the Met Gala, and just every single look, you were just like, oh my God, what? She is so chic. Like, no matter what she puts on, you're like, what?
Yeah. So she founded the company in 1981, and she had one of those life-changing conversations with, in this case, Diana Vreeland, who said, "You're so chic. You're so known for your personal style. Other women should experience that. You need to start a collection." And so that's really how the impetus to the house and where we are today. And we've really, and I think even from Carolina to Wes, how do we take that great sense of style and carry it through, every collection so that, the woman who wears Herrera feels that chic, feels her most confident and beautiful in a way that was sort of inspired by her own personal style, Mrs. Herrera. So is it the white shirt? Is it how she wears a jacket? Something casual, how she styles herself for evening.
One of the things that always pops up for me, like when I see images of her, especially from earlier times, maybe even before she had the collection, I always like, she must have really, her parents must have really loved her. Like there's something that she emits that, that like that just full confidence and looking so different from everybody else and going with it and not feeling, I don't know. That's just I'm like, she must have had an interesting childhood.
We talked to her a lot about obviously her history and how did she become herself and who she is. And she, to your point, has that incredible sense of confidence, and it comes from somewhere. But how I see her today and being a dedicated mother to her 4 daughters, grandchildren, and her great grandchildren, family is everything. And she really ran this business so that it felt like that we're working in fashion. We need to respect each other. But at the end of the day, we have lives, we have families, and we have friends, and we need to keep that all in perspective. So she really created this company culture around how she is as a person. So she's a confident woman. Of course, you see that in how we do, but also in the company culture.
I don't wonder if that's a Latin thing, because I think Oscar did the same thing, actually.
But like that family feeling in the office itself.
And he always made it feel so human, and unlike any other place I ever went, like it just felt like he was just like he had great manners. He was just like he was socially adept. It was like it was one of my, some of my only normal interactions with designers. Anyway.
Certainly Wes gives you that feel.
Yeah, so maybe it's a Southern thing. Maybe it's not Latin. It's just Southern.
Maybe that's
Southern, hemisphere or.
Well, Wes has the most incredible manners.
Oh, I know.
If we're walking down the street, he never lets me walk on the outside.
It's the South. Yeah. Well, I want to ask about you. Okay, so I want to go back to. Are you from Connecticut? You grew up in Connecticut?
So I was born in LA.
Oh, wow.
And then as a young person, I lived for a couple of years in Dallas. And then I would say my formative years have been in New Canaan, Connecticut. So we're about an hour outside New York City. But I love it after all these years. I still love it there so much. It's just a really special place. I actually live now where I grew up.
Wow. I do too.
Like you. Right. So
it's really awesome. And were your parents there when you moved back?
Yeah. So they helped, with the kids, and my sister lives there. It's a great community. But what's also great about where I live in Connecticut is there's a lot of people from the industry.
Yeah.
And in I hosted some time ago a get-together, big dinner of everyone from different brands, from different retailers. We had sort of a fashion dinner in Connecticut, and it was just fun that so many of us chose this lifestyle, this community, and are really enjoying it. And I would add, and I know you have a love of architecture, and I am just a few homes away from the Glass House.
Wow. That's incredible.
Living very different than Philip Johnson's Glass House, but...
Were you aware of it as a young person?
Yes, actually. So he was, obviously very famous when I was a kid growing up in my town. And he would drive around or be driven around in this like incredible vintage Mercedes. And he had his like iconic glasses, and he was our local celebrity. And it was fun to see him out and about and going to dinner at the different restaurants. And then when he passed away, it became this incredible museum foundation for people to enjoy. So it's really a destination on mid-century modern architect lovers' bucket list to come and visit.
That's awesome. So how aware were you of Manhattan growing up in New Canaan? Was it something you did?
Very.
And you just took the train in?
Yeah, I would take the train in or drive. My dad actually worked in the garment district where I am right now. In fact, his office, he passed away, but as a kid, we would be in this neighborhood, and it's so crazy to think like the restaurant he always went to is next door, and the parking garage that he parked in is underneath this building. And so it's just like, how did that happen?
That's
I don't know.
crazy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So we were really connected to the city. And of course, when I was in high school, I would sneak into the city,
Yeah.
you know, in trouble. No, not to get in trouble, but to just see it.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And it's so fun to have teenage daughters who also just always want to come to the city.
That's so funny. So was anybody in your family stylish, and was fashion like a thing for you, or was it other stuff?
No, it was fashion always.
Really, always? Oh, wow.
I don't know. Have you like had the first memory of an outfit you loved? I remember I like your first memory of an outfit.
I have it's so funny because I would say, even now, I would say I'm not really into fashion that much. I'm actually, I run my business. I'm really into helping people. I'm not really that into fashion. But then if you ask me, I could tell you everything I wore,
Right.
to
Oh,
every
yeah.
detail, to every first day of kindergarten, like every single thing.
What was your outfit the first day of kindergarten?
Well, I'm 54. Am I 54? I think I'm 54. So it was 1977, and I had this green jumpsuit that zipped up and had an applique that said "Stop, Go," just like a worker's thing. Yeah, it was so cute. And I had the same haircut I have now.
Chic today. Yeah.
But then I also remember. Sorry, this is your podcast.
So you were into fashion.
I was into fashion. I brought my sister that same year. My sister was born. I brought her for show and tell, and I wore when I brought her, I wore tan leather lederhosen with a heart applique on the front.
So someone must have bought that for you.
Yeah.
Did you put out the wearing leather to school?
I think again, 1977. I'm not sure. I think my mom brought it to me from a trip, but yeah, it's funny when you I would say, oh, I'm not that into fashion. I'm not fussy. I'm not whatever. But I'm so particular about every single thing, and I remember every single thing.
And you remember, and it was important to you,
Yeah.
and so I'm the same. Like when I say I'm fashion obsessed, it's my career path, but it's also, I think about what I wear. I have fun with it. I have memories about outfits that made a difference, that were inspiring to me. And it was something that was always, I was conscious of making fashion decisions.
Yes. So your dad worked in the garment district. He was in fashion in a way, or in manufacturing?
He was in textiles. He was in the textile industry. And because you're in Charlotte, it's interesting because it was a really challenging time over the last couple of decades when manufacturing left the South. So, yeah. And so every business trip he would be in the South, and then it just stopped. And so this whole area used to be, I would say, really not only just, we do, I would say about 30 to 40% of our manufacturing in this neighborhood, but it was, a mecca also for the textile industry.
Yeah.
Just, it's mainly gone overseas. So.
And did you know that you wanted to follow in his footsteps? Did you know that you wanted to do something similar?
So I was interested in it, but this is really something that's relevant to this conversation, and sort of what I'm passionate about today is that I didn't know it could be a career. So if you were asking my younger self, could you ever imagine a career in fashion? I didn't know what it would be, right?
Yeah.
So I would think,
because you didn't know anybody who did something that looked like what you wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it was knowing about the options, knowing about all the career options. I think when I even was in college, thought like a career could be a lawyer or a doctor or finance. I didn't think that there could be this whole, array of journeys and pathways to have a career in this incredible industry that I'm so passionate about.
And it's so vast, and it's so complex. Actually, my daughter is interning with me. She's 21, and I think she thinks, and I think she thinks that it's like Project Runway or so. I don't think she has any idea how complex it is.
I think her next internship should be at Carolina Herrera.
I would love that. She would love that.
because we've been amazing. I take pride, and our HR team has done an amazing job with our internship program.
Yeah.
These internships are so important, and I can't
Yeah.
champion them enough, because you get in and you see, oh wow, there's this department, there's this department, there's product development.
Yeah.
What kind of skill set is needed for that department? There is production, different than product development. There's design, there's merchandising, sales. It's just like you said,
Vast.
that you use the word vast, and
Yeah.
certainly the options. There's so many avenues to pursue.
Were you a natural leader? Were you a leader as a kid?
I think I would say that I was comfortable in my shoes. I could articulate. I could, express myself in a way I could organize, but I wouldn't say it was obvious that I was going to be in the job I'm in today
Hmm.
as a young person.
Where did you go to college? What did you study?
So I went to the great University of Michigan,
Yes.
which I'm very proud to be an alum from Michigan. We had a great season in basketball. And that was a transformation. Like from high school to college was amazing. It was the most incredible 4 years.
And really far away and really different from New
Far
Canaan.
away, totally different. Like I
Yeah.
think what's undergraduate class, like 30, I mean, like 30,
Exactly.
50,000 is in, the campus has like 50,000 students. So it was a total, like I used the word transformation, and I studied art history and I studied political science.
Hmm.
And I loved my two majors, and I love them, really love them. And I had so much fun on the art history side. And like, could that be in, galleries or pursue art? On the political science side, could that lead me to being a lawyer? And junior year, going into senior year, I had an internship at Calvin Klein.
Wow.
So before that, I worked retail. So my first job was at a men's store in my town. And I loved dressing mannequins and, seeing the new collections as they would come in, and they were men's. And in fact, they distributed Ralph Lauren and Patagonia.
What a cool store.
They had this great curation, and I still have some of the Patagonia's pieces that I had from then, and then also some of the Ralph. And I would love styling mannequins, mixing.
Yeah.
And of course, you can imagine New Canaan was Preppy Handbook, manifest the Preppy Handbook. So I would love doing that, but always worked some kind of retail job. And then I had this internship at Calvin Klein. So started to see that there are opportunities in the industry. And so when I graduated college, I kind of dabbled in exploring law school.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think that I didn't go to law school, but I was, exploring the LSATs and whatnot. And then I would say my first real fashion job was a PR assistant at Giorgio Armani.
Oh, wow.
And that's like kind of kicked it off.
And what year was that around?
That was in the late 90s.
Yeah, so that's a totally different time in fashion. Will you talk a little bit about that and sort of what your job would have entailed?
Yeah. So actually this is fun. Like my first week on the job, it was actually a really fun one, a fun anecdote. And as we walk down memory lane, and I'm happy when I can still remember these things. The first week on the job, I had to walk a photographer through the Guggenheim because Mr. Armani had this incredible exhibition at the Guggenheim.
Huh.
And it was so beautiful. And I was like, this is incredible. And what a magical industry. I also kind of cried too my first week because my desk was in the sample closet.
And you mean cried by like cried happy tears?
Not when I was in the closet by the sample closet, sitting
on top of beaded gowns.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I was like, is this really a desk or this or? But it was really, and I, can't stress enough, like having that first entry level job is really such a great starting point, such a great kickoff if you make it something, so I really, did everything I could to take on whatever tasks were presented, always looking for opportunities to do more, to present myself in a way that if there was the next job or the next, new task or area that I can contribute, I wanted to participate. So, and it was an amazing place to work then.
And will you talk about him a little bit?
Yeah. So, I was in a subsidiary office or a satellite office, being in New York, and HQ was Milan, but you really felt Mr. Romani's presence. So, even as a, entry level team member, and he was so exacting and precise. I think any of the colleagues I worked with then would say, it was the best fashion business school, like to really have an eye for detail,
Yeah.
to, at the time I was supporting events. So trunk show invitations, to make sure that the font was the right size, or even menus, to make sure that if you're serving hors d'oeuvres, it was nothing stinky, or it was small and bite sized, and the trays and the, to really be mindful of every single detail, to have it be beautiful and precise and cared for. And I think that came from a love of what he did, and a care, and not from a place of being a control freak,
Yeah.
but it was important to have
To be a
that
great
experience,
host.
to be a great host and have that experience, feel like you're at an Armani event that has his name on it.
And well, and I mean, it
So,
didn't hurt to start your internship at Calvin Klein.
and have that experience.
You had a lot of,
And what was, amazing at Armani too is the, how he was so involved in all aspects of the business, from high to low, from the runway show to an invitation.
and he spoke zero English, right?
To me, I did not ever encounter him speaking English. He was, when on the few occasions I got to meet him and interact with him personally, very warm hugs, handshakes, um, just really an inspiring person.
And what was it like working for an Italian company?
So I think part of the reason why I'm here at Carolina Herrera was, it's amazing to work for a European brand, and from before Carolina Herrera, I was at Acris, the Swiss luxury brand, but you're not in the headquarters. So when I had the opportunity at Carolina Herrera, you're at the headquarters. So where I'm
Yeah.
sitting is part of the garment district, and you've been to our offices before. We have the atelier, we
Yeah.
have the studio, where I have the great privilege of working with pattern makers and sewers, and I'm surrounded by the fabric, and I'm surrounded by the process of creation, and I get to work with Wes every day. So I would say, when are considering a career in fashion, it's great to get that business experience and get the sort of brand experience working for a European house, wherever it is. But to be where you make clothes is something that is just, it's just the most inspiring work environment. And I think everyone feels it at the office.
Can we go back there? Tell me what it was like moving from Armani to Acris. My only anecdote on that is the beds in Sun Gallon are the most
Yeah.
comfortable beds on the entire earth.
Uh,
So
I actually, yes, I'm so glad that someone else I can talk St. Gallen with someone else. So St. Gallen being the headquarters of where Acris is, incredible. I mean, just talking about the whole Acris experience
Yeah.
gives me goosebumps, because it was just so inspiring,
and a family business.
and a total, family business, you know, built with like love and care and intention, and really amazing. And St. Gallen is beautiful, nestled in the Alpine foothills,
Yeah.
essentially outside of Zurich. And from Armani to Acris, I think so much of the approach of Mr. Armani and Albert, similar, that every detail needs to be considered. We want to be precise. We want to do something right and special for our clients. And Laura, more than anyone, how important that is.
Yeah.
To always get that right. And whether you're hosting them in your store, or you're making a choice for them to select something from your curation, you want it to be right. So, that was very consistent, but the experience obviously at Acris was different, and my role was different.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So at Armani, you were doing PR and marketing, and then at Acris.
So I left Armani doing PR and marketing, and I went to Acris to also do PR and marketing. But Acris is a much smaller organization,
Mhm.
so in a lot of ways there was a lot to build and establish, and the mandate at the time was to really build some structure around marketing and PR and branding, and take this exceptional stealth wealth brand and create some storytelling around it, and some press opportunities and whatnot. So I got to enjoy, where Armani was based in Milan. The beauty of Acris, one of the many things, is that the Acris showed in Paris
Mhm.
and was headquartered in St. Gallen. So I had this great sort of international
Yeah.
European purview, and sort of having that entree into Paris, and like we're doing a show and we're entertaining editors and hosting retailers in Paris.
Will you talk about a little what that role is, head of PR and marketing? Like, what is it that you did then, and also how that's changed now?
At its heart, that sort of marketing PR, sort of like connecting the product with the people, or connecting the product, filling that gap. So how do we create this beautiful collection, and then how do we talk about it, and get the word out that it's there, and what is the story around that product? So a lot of ways it's that we talk about storytelling, and certainly I wouldn't, if I was at Armani back then, I wouldn't say, oh, my job is storytelling, but it's because that's so much what we talk about today. And then you didn't really have the digital piece
Well,
of it.
yeah, the vehicle is so different. I mean, I think that's the thing.
The credits were everything, where you would
Yeah.
be, you just wanted editorial credits and print magazines and newspapers and what have you. And marketing was so traditional. It was so much about print and catalog and lookbook and traditional events. Some things have changed a lot, some things not at all.
Hmm.
I would, and you can attest to this too. The physical event is more important than ever in our stores.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. We're hosting events in our boutiques, and the clients love them, and they're coming in, and it's been a really important lever in our business. But how we're storytelling, how we're, what does an editorial credit mean today, how we're communicating on our social channels, all of that has, changed the way that sort of marketing and PR work.
You were so early. I mean, you were in the middle of that when it changed. Were you resistant to it, or were you open to it?
Oh no, no, I love it. Bring it on.
Because you have more control, right? I mean,
Just no, but I just think just embrace it. Like how AI is, we have to embrace it here.
yeah.
I'm excited, like the design team is having a whole AI session today so that they become fluent
Mm.
in the medium, and how can it enhance our work environment, create efficiencies, create opportunities. So fully embrace, the evolution of how we do what we do.
Before you got to Herrera, did you have any mentors that sort of followed you along the way and changed the way you led?
Yeah, well, I would say Caroline Brown, who used to be the president, or the CEO of Carolina Herrera. We worked together at Armani, and then we
Oh,
worked together so we've had, sort of like, okay, Emily, come check out this company. Come. So, and I think she was very inspired also by Mr. Armani, and how he led, and how he built his brand, and certainly her strength in leadership, is inspiring to me. And I love that even in the atelier in our studio today at Herrera, the team, the cutters and sewers, they ask, oh, how is Caroline, how is she doing, that we're almost 10 plus years since she's been at Carolina Herrera, but her leadership left an impact. And
mm.
I think, that I think is something that all of us in leadership positions should aspire to, that if you leave a company, the employees still they care about you, you made an impact, and they want to know how you're doing, and they care about you.
Yeah. As you moved along from Calvin, but to Armani and to Acris, were you clear as you moved to each new role? Did you feel ready for the next one? Did you know kind of, you were like, I'm ready for this because now I know how to do this?
Are you ever full, yes, I think you have to exude confidence, and maybe you're scared inside, and you have to, for me, and I speak for myself, just like work hard, do the best you can, be, ask, for help, ask questions. Can I do it better? Can I have feedback? I did it, maybe I didn't do it right. How should I do it better? To be open to that, to be open to feedback, but certainly it's like you want it, so you got to kind of make it happen.
And did you work with a leadership coach, or was that something that you just innately knew or learned from mentors?
I would say it came from within. And I didn't work with a coach, or I've had leadership coaches along the way, but I think it's my own personal style,
Yeah.
that I would attribute, sort of, let's say, transitioning effectively into each role. But the job I'm in now is the best job I've ever had.
And tell me about it. How did you get it? Were you pursuing it, or did it find you? How did it happen?
I think it was a little bit of a combination. I think sometimes timing, circumstances, and then being at the right place at the right time and having the right skill set, it happens. So, I'm a big proponent of asking for what you want. Don't let things happen to you.
Yes.
Don't expect things to happen to you, and this, if I was having a review with a team member, I would say, what do you want? Make sure you have in your mind that vision for where you want to go, who you want to be, what next job you want, what are the opportunities at the company you see. So I would say those circumstances were there, that made it a great moment for me and to take on this role. And I would say, having Mrs. Herrera as your advocate helps.
And so did you come in as president of the company?
No, I came in as the head of marketing and communications.
Oh, wow.
I joined Herrera in 2012, actually.
Okay.
2012. And so I was appointed president in 2017.
And tell me about that role. Tell me what it entails and what you're surprised that it entails.
For the job I have now?
Yeah.
The best job in the world?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the job where you don't know everything, right? So like where you're marketing communications and you've done that, did that for, I was 3 jobs in, and I know no, I don't, of course I don't know everything, but that job. But when the job I have now, I'm not an expert in product development, but I'm responsible for it.
Right.
I'm not an expert in production, but I'm responsible for it, or logistics, or sales, or merchandising, and et cetera, et cetera. So you have to rely on amazing people.
And let me ask you this. Did Puig, did it own or acquire Carolina before you got there or after?
So they've had the brand for a while. So
Okay.
They were the fragrance license and had the company. So Puig has been part of my life since I started Herrera.
Okay.
Which has been amazing. And
Yeah.
that's a whole other dimension that we could do a podcast on, because having that exposure to the world of beauty,
Yes,
just has enriched my world so much.
Will you talk about that a little bit, just how beauty feeds the ready to wear, and just how they're symbiotic?
I would say first that Puig is unique in that, the approach is one brand. So we really look at how can we integrate all of the categories in our portfolio together. So think of the fashion show, which really is the greatest expression of a fashion brand, is a great opportunity and a great platform for beauty, right? You have the backstage, you have 35 models
that are beautiful,
looking beautiful, getting their makeup done. So if you think about in that way, every fashion show has, for the most part, makeup. They're doing hair and makeup. So in our case now, we have makeup. So, and Wes is the creative director of makeup. And, there's that opportunity to talk about the products. And I always say that a fashion show is the one moment in time that the world of fashion belongs to you,
Oh, I love that.
right? So no one else has a fashion show that minute that you're having it, right? Or the 9 minutes, 9.5 that you're having your show. And so it's like, okay, so you have a captive audience
I love that.
globally, really globally, and it's your moment to shine. So think of that if you're in your product portfolio, you have makeup, you have fragrance, you have, so we really work together to enhance and enhance all of our products and support the brand as Carolina Herrera. And I think more and more we're looking for consistency in language and imagery and iconography as much as we can, having very different price points.
Yeah.
I think what's beautiful is that someone can be introduced to the Herrera world, at a $250 fragrance to a $10,000 gown.
Yeah.
And she has something that's Carolina Herrera, at sort of this whole range, and range of products. And so if you see a Carolina Herrera fragrance ad, they're wearing, designs that Wes has worked on in collaboration with the beauty team. And when you look at a lipstick container, there's motifs on that lipstick container that maybe were in a collection.
Yeah.
They'll look familiar. And you see that also played out in our stores. So we really work together, even in language, describing the collection, describing the fragrance.
It's almost like you have free assets, between the two
Yeah.
that you can.
Yes. Yeah. They flow. And
Yeah.
the Met, so the Met is a great example. So Wes's date was Victoria Chiretti, who is the face of our latest fragrance, La Bamba. So she's, on every ad and commercial, and she was his date,
Yeah.
and the fragrance just launched. So she's like the most beautiful woman and a great, she looked incredible and stunning. And she was wearing, Carolina Herrera, and we could do the story of the making of the dress, but also, talk about fragrance all at the same time. So that's a perfect example, actually, of last.
I want to talk about Wes a little bit. And we had a podcast with him, and he brought you up and talked about you in the interview. And I want to play a clip for you from him.
Oh, well, that's so nice.
We did shows in Fashion Week, but it was just getting to a point where it's kind of like, what is the business future of this? And as I was kind of thinking about this, I received a call from the now president of Herrera, Emilie Rubinfeld, who's amazing, who is just starting in her role, to see if I'd be interested in consulting, because Mrs. Herrera, unbeknownst to me, was kind of early in the process of stepping away. So I came in, and of course I was like, the idea of this. I mean, listen, if you're a kid from Atlanta who has this outsider's fantasy of fashion, who grew up loving like Valentino and the magic of these grand American houses, Herrera is a magical thing. I mean, Herrera is, and hopefully forever will be a cornerstone of 7th Avenue American elegance.
So how did you meet Wes, and how did you know that he could be the right person for this role?
Well, so Wes crossed my path when he was a finalist in the Vogue Fashion Fund. And we at the time, were thinking about, Mrs. Herrera was thinking about what's her next step. But he was someone that when you are in New York and you're part of the fashion community, part of the CFDA and what they're doing, the Vogue Fashion Fund is something that you, of course, have your eye on and participate in and what have you. And he was a finalist, and I think he had a meeting. He had a meeting in this office, and I noticed him because he's so charismatic, and he's someone, when he walks into the room, you notice him. And I kind of did a search on him, and there was maybe a story or a quote or something that he was talking about a trunk show he had done in Neiman Marcus. And the way he talked about the clients and about servicing the clients and about his collection, it sounded like, oh, wow, that's very Carolina Herrera, like everything that he said. So I made a mental note, and I sent an email off into the ether saying like, oh, we should meet Wes Gordon. I saved that email for posterity. And when it was the right moment to meet Mrs. Herrera and all of that, they connected, and some of my best memories were, Wes and I having these clandestine meetings to prepare for the meetings with the Poosh stakeholders, Jose Manuel and Anna, and with Mrs. Herrera, and meeting and Mark Pouge too, and getting him prepared for those meetings. And it was so fun, and talking about the world of Carolina Herrera as he saw it. And what I think was, I would say, so impactful to others was how it was beyond clothes, right? It was her world, her environment, her things. And it really impressed the stakeholders, and certainly Mrs. Herrera. And they enjoyed about a year of creative collaboration until the moment was right where she was like, okay, he's going to be my successor. And she gave her last fashion show bow February 2018.
Wow. And what was it like watching him kind of transition to this role? I mean, from the outside, from me, it was just so exciting to see somebody just crushing it.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that was the perception.
Totally.
So I think there's a lot of anxiety around something like that.
Of course.
Because in a transition like this, you want to make sure you're going to, keep that relationship with your clients, and and be the Herrera that, Mrs. Herrera established over time without alienating anyone, and at the same time become something new.
Yeah.
So it was this evolution. And, Wes being Wes, and he's such a great person, and he's so smart, and he's so in tune to what's around him, that he did such a great job of like saying, okay, I embrace the past, but I have some of my own ideas for the future. When he talked about color, one of the first places he started, I'm sure, he's talked to you about it, is like, Herrera should be a house of color. And that's really been, something that we embrace totally. So, working with Wes is a dream partnership. And I think it's because, all the things I mentioned about him, but also he's someone who takes great feedback. He's not a defensive person. He wants the same things as I want. We can be really open, like, that work, that didn't work. And the same, he gives me suggestions on how I do a better job too. But, it's having that trust that, like, okay, I can be open with you. I trust you to be open with me. I'm not threatened. And we have this great collaboration.
What an incredible combination. How lucky.
And I think the other piece of it is, Mrs. Herrera has been part of it. So when she gave her last fashion show bow, February 2018, she hasn't physically stepped foot in this office since then.
Really?
Physically has not even come back.
She's been to the shows, but never been in the office.
To the shows.
Wow.
She's doing her own thing.
That's incredible.
And it was out of like love.
Respect.
Love and respect. She wanted Wes to do his own thing.
Wow.
She didn't breathe down his neck, like really
That's rare, don't you think?
Totally rare.
Yeah.
Totally not making him second guess himself, make him, have his own wins, his own losses, like he owns it. We own it, and but we're still so close to her. They have an amazing, amazing relationship.
Yeah.
He sees her, I would say, once every 2 weeks, or,
Wow.
They get together. But she is really, leaving it to him to do his thing.
Wow. Extraordinary.
It doesn't always work out like that.
No, it doesn't.
And here we are, 8 years later, still with so much to do, still so many new projects. Every year is something new and exciting, new challenges. Shortly after Wes started, we started our conversation on COVID and that quarantine. But he had just started, really. So his first collection, we kind of had to restart in 2021.
Yeah.
And, now there's so much still to do.
What does no one tell you about being the president of a global fashion house?
Nobody told me just sort of let's say, a playbook for challenging times.
Yes. Yeah.
And what's expected.
Yeah.
So that balance of crisis managing plus crisis managing the business and protecting the business at all costs, and protecting and being, supportive of the team. So there's no playbook for that.
Yep.
So like at this, so how do you wing it? And there's always something that you have to take. I mean, this year, 2020, there's always something.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for the unknown? And there's no playbook for that. So, so I've kind of come up with my own ways of managing, and I'm a big believer in communication. So I learned that in 2020. Tell everyone this is what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what we know. This is what I know. And Pooj really endorses that approach. Tell everyone what you know. Tell them what and try to be so that people can get information.
Yeah.
But there's no playbook for that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you have to, and I'm sure you have to deal with this too. The team wants to know what's going on. At the same time, you're like, I have to make business decisions too.
Yeah.
So, I try to always think about how to protect the business, all the time, and what are the pivots that we have to do and keep those scenarios. But certainly living through and working through 2020, coming out on the other side in a great place. You'll appreciate this small little anecdote if you'll indulge me.
Oh, yeah.
Like end of 2020, we were getting, and everyone's, merchants were starting to feel like they're ready to buy again and come back. And there was a lot of, pressure for Carolina Herrera to pivot to more of an athleisure business. You remember this? Like when it was like the cashmere pajama or the cashmere.
Yeah. That was so stupid. I'm sorry. It was so bad.
I don't think we got that feedback from you, but well, on Herrera, if there's a Herrera cashmere jacket and pants suit.
Yeah, I would wear that.
I would wear that too. And you know what? We didn't, because we're like, we only know how to make, pretty clothes. And we couldn't keep dresses in stock. Like
I know. That was the crazy thing.
Wasn't that crazy?
It was crazy and designers didn't believe me. That I kept on saying, now more than ever, because you have these micro weddings and micro events, and people are willing. Yes. They have so much money, like they're willing to spend
living
anything.
room weddings, living room parties,
and they want to change dresses 5 times, and they, we needed dresses more than ever.
You need dresses more than ever, and like it's kind of sustained. Like the demand. Still our biggest category, dresses,
and so hard to find. I mean, you're my best resource by far.
Oh, I love that. I love you, and that's like a great example. Like you have to kind of stick with what you know best. But it's like that manual, that playbook. That
I think that, but I also think it's because you probably, but also Wes, are so connected to your clients. I think that was the thing that I really saw, was that designers were like living in space and had no idea how their clients really lived. Whereas I think you guys are way more personally and physically connected to your clients. So you really listened to them and you knew what they needed.
Oh, and we know them, they tell us. We know what occasions they have, what events, and still, that's today. Wes is the best at, going to a store, doing a trunk show, being in a fitting room, you hosting trunk shows with him. And you can't get it better when the creative director knows that with a first name basis, like what size they wear, what they like to wear, what do they have. And it just really informs the collection so much. And the other thing, Wes is also involved in the production fittings. So he cares, about the product from the inception, from the design to when it reaches the shop floor.
Yeah.
And how it feels and how it fits.
And I was going to say, I also know how close you are to your fit models. I mean, they've been there forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And knowing how, because we grade off of a certain size, and to make sure that works once it's been manufactured and it's on the shop floor, that it felt like the initial idea in the studio.
Yeah, it's important. What advice would you give or share with a young woman working her way up the corporate ladder in the fashion industry?
I'm glad you asked that, because, as I'm in this stage of my career, mentorships, internships are really important to me. Like I said, we have a great internship program at Herrera. I'm on the board of the Fashion Scholarship Fund. That's incredible. We just launched the CFDA Carolina Herrera Scholarship, and today's the panel for that. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, because of what, full circle to the beginning of our conversation, to know and to share what are the opportunities in the industry, to cultivate up and coming talent. We talk about the talent pipeline all the time. Like, let's get great young people into this industry and help them.
Yeah.
So the advice I like to always give is, you know, and there's different stages of it, but first, if to really think about the brands that you love. So it's really hard to be successful in a brand that you can't relate to,
Yeah.
right? So it's you have a team member in your store who's like not really into the store environment and the vibe, the type of clothes you curate. Hard to be successful.
Yeah.
Hard to be successful in doing your best work if you're at a brand that doesn't resonate. So like if you have the luxury of making, you know, of identifying brands that you have an affinity for and really can feel the story. Like I really resonated with Carolina's story, Mrs. Herrera's story. I love that she started the company when she was 40 and that she, you know, it was a woman founded company. Like all of that I really loved. It resonates and all of that. So that's really important. Number two, I would say is this whole idea of networking, making contacts and really nurture your network. And it could be a small exchange with someone that you can have the opportunity to leave an impression on, write a handwritten note, at least send a follow-up email, you know, really nurture that connection. You know, a lot of my colleagues and peers are leading companies today that I worked with at Armani. So like making sure that I have great relationships with those people. And then, you know, and I mentioned this earlier, and I think it's really important, pursue what, you know, be proactive in your own career. Ask for it. Don't let it happen to you. Great if something falls in your lap, but be really proactive. And I think that goes back to, you know, if you don't have confidence, fake it till you make it, you know, and you know, really, really pursue, feel that you can ask. Why not? Because you won't know. And I was actually just having a conversation with a grown-up, someone who in his career for a long time. And I was like, this opportunity is there for you. Like formulate a presentation, think about how you would articulate it and go for it, you know? So really, I think even for that, the next generation of fashion executives or those that are making a career out of fashion, get that first job, get in there and start to see where you could bring added value and then present yourself. You know, we have matriculated interns into full-time positions here, you know, and really to encourage them to say, I did this job. I'd love to, you know, be considered for this job. Why? Because I learned this, and this. So that's something that's really going to be, you're sort of manifesting your own destiny.
Yeah. I love that. Did you.
Did that answer your question?
You really did. Yeah. And I think it's going to be really helpful.
Okay, good.
I wish I'd heard it a few years ago. No.
It's hard. It like doesn't come naturally to like, you know, and I've done like a PowerPoint of like, Emilie should do that. Like I can do that. You know, my skill sets are this, you know, but it's a painful process at times, but it will serve you well.
Yeah. Most important question. What did you wear to prom?
I was hoping you would ask me that question.
It's very important.
And actually, I'm very passionate about my prom dress and I need to find it. But it was, and I'm lucky that I have my mom. She really embraced my high school dance fashion desires. And my sister, who she used to be an editor at Harper's Bazaar, but we're really close. And she also had a passion for prom dresses too. So we didn't just go to our own proms. We went to other proms. And but my senior prom dress was my mom indulged me. We went to the city to buy it, and we went to a boutique, and it's a brand called, and I have to look at if like what's the history of this brand. It was a designer called Pilar Rossi.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was black and white, so I clearly had an affinity for black and white fashion.
Theme.
Strapless, asymmetrical, super chic, looked so good. It was great.
Short or long?
Short.
Oh, cool.
Sort of tiered waist, strapless, asymmetrical, like a little crafted robe, like black on one side, white on the other. And then my date looked great in his like very traditional tux.
Did you do sheer hose or like a sheer black?
I did as I think it was like a sheer,
Yeah.
And I have to look back at my yearbook, but I think I was voted best dressed.
Seriously? That's awesome.
I want to fact check that,
That's a first. That's a first. I love that.
but I think I was voted. I hope it wasn't a joke.
No, I
You know,
believe.
and
Well, I feel like in New Canaan, maybe a lot of people wore like Patagonia or LLB.
yeah, Patagonia, LLB.
You had a leg up there. Anything that I haven't asked that feels important to share?
Well, I would just say, like, thank you for this opportunity, and I think you and I know so much that this industry that we call fashion, like coming off of the Met, which was controversial at the end of the day, we have to remember that this is a beautiful creative industry, and we love what we do, and we love that we can be so close to creativity and be so close to business, and it's really this beautiful meeting of worlds, culture, and it's so inspiring. It takes us all over the world, like you and me. And, I really encourage young people to be proactive in exploring ways. And there's so many organizations, like I said, the CFDA, we're partnering on a scholarship program. The Fashion Scholarship Fund is touching students all over, the country who want to be in fashion. So, there's a reason why, and there's a reason why that, the Met, all eyes were on the Met because people are so interested and it's such an incredible industry.
Beautifully said. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I'm never bored.
Never. There's always, and look, I got to do a podcast with Amazing You today.
Ditto. No, thank you.
And then this afternoon, we're going to be meeting students that are, designers in the making to talk to them about a scholarship opportunity.
Wow. Love. Yeah.
And then tomorrow we're talking, Wes is going to be presenting ideas for the runway collection in September, celebrating our 45th anniversary. Oh. So hello, how lucky, how amazing.
Yeah, fabulous. I love it so much. Thank you, Emilie, so much for this. I appreciate you spending the morning with me.
No, it was a pleasure. I'm glad we had the opportunity to connect.
It was a lot of fun. I'll see you either in New York or Paris. And I'd love to
hopefully both.
Yeah, we'll see it both. Okay. Thank you.